Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene back into open session. We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Just a reminder that the meetings of the board are open to the public, but are not a meeting of the public. Board of Trustees meet monthly and regular meeting to receive reports from staff, take action, and recommendation from the superintendent. We do ask everybody to be cognizant of the fact that there are students and other guests present, to maintain decorum. Respectful behavior is expected. Disruptive behavior and or comments will not be allowed. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get to our first agenda item. Sorry about that, gentlemen. I thought you guys were. We ask that y'all would all please rise and stand as we present our colors. Tonight's colors are being presented by the Atascocita ROTC. I want to thank the Atascocita Marines Army ROTC. Yes, please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Dr. Vega, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do we have any accommodations, recommendations?
We do. Welcome back from spring break, everyone. Humble ISD focuses on educating the whole child. Student athletes are stars on the court and the field, but that isn't the only place that they shine. Students and coaches from Humble High School take time every year to give back to the community by visiting elementary schools to read and mentor. Tonight, our Inspiring Moments video follows the students as they visit Jeff Fields Elementary as part of their Read Across Humble program.
Jack Fields Elementary. I'm here with the entire athletic program here at Humble High School. It's called the Read Across Humble. We basically go to the feeder, we stay within the feeder pattern of Humble High School. We bring our kids out to the schools and we visit with the principals prior to and just kind of see what the school needs. And my job as a campus coordinator is to provide the kids that the school needs to help them out as far as mentoring, reading to the kids, and also doing stuff outside with the kids.
It means a lot because I remember when I was back in elementary and I saw people in high school, especially athletes, it was like superheroes to me. And like, I mean, when the kids see us, when we come in, they look like superstars to them, superheroes and stuff. To me, like,
I've been an athlete. I've been I've been a coach for 20-some odd years. So I've seen every side of the spectrum as far as being a student athlete. But there is a gap that I felt that needed to be filled when I was an assistant coach. And I think that gap is for us to give back and do more for our communities. And that's where Read Across Humble came from. And that's why I started this program. And it's really doing well, and the principals seem to really like it throughout the Humble area. And and my kids definitely enjoy it.
Coach West reached out to me a few weeks ago and asked if we would like to have the athletes from Humble High School come out and read and talk with our kids. Just really show them what it takes to be a student athlete and also be successful at the high school level and beyond. We were very excited to have the athletes come out. They've come out in the past and they always present a very positive image of Humble ISD and specifically Humble High School. And our kids are always excited to see the big kids come out and read and share with them.
It feels awesome. I feel like I'm their idol. They can respect me, and they have something to look forward to in high school.
Well, I think one of the major things is that the kids get to go back to their former elementary school. You take some of the kids back and there's some teachers there educating these kids, and they bring them back and they see how they filled out and how they've grown since they've become, since they was in those 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. And so I think that the big thing here is that we realize that, giving back is the objective of it. And, I have many kids come back and say, Coach, thank you. I've never even been back to my elementary school. I wouldn't even thought about going back to my elementary school. Now, we try to hit every elementary once a year in our feeder pattern, but sometimes we can't get that. But when we do, it is a tremendous impact. And I always get kids that graduate come back and say, Coach, I still remember Read Across Humble.
The kids just love getting to see the big kids and know what type of things they may get to do in the future. Some of our kids play soccer and baseball and football in a league, and their dreams are to play at the high school level. So seeing these kids that live in their same neighborhoods and went to their same schools that have done that just really excites them and just really helps them focus on what they want to achieve in their own personal lives.
I get a lot of emails of parents and principals saying, thank you, Coach, and the kids were wonderful. They were well represented. They represented Humble well. I get a lot of emails like that, and the kids, and like I say, I'm not looking for any gratitude. I'm doing this because I know it's the right thing to do, and I know that it is an impact, and it's impact the community and the kids.
What Coach West did by bringing essentially the kids home, where they started their education in Humble ISD, kind of brought just that home feeling to the campus. The students that came from the high school and said, Jack Fields, this is my home, this is where I started from, gave excitement to the students who are currently there, knowing that someday when they get to high school, it might be them who's able to come back to Jack Fields and say, this is what I've been able to do through my education. I'm now an athlete and I'm giving back to the elementary school that I started in.
I feel like it's kind of like a second chance. This is my second chance, to like make new friends, respect my teachers that were here in the school environment. Because once you grow up, you grow up. So coming back to elementary, it's like, dang, I came a long way just to make it here. I'm an athlete, varsity, and I get to be these kids' idols. Feels good.
First, Coach Charles West. present Principal Jack Fields Elementary. Thanks to all of you for this cross-school collaboration and giving students the opportunity to see what it can be like if you go on and be in athletics and return to your elementary school. Very exciting. Next, Humble ISD hosts its own juried rodeo art exhibit. This exhibit includes a variety of Western-themed art created by students in the kindergarten through 12th grade. Students have an opportunity to earn awards. Stacy Gower, our visual arts director, will introduce our award-winning students.
Thank you. 16 students were honored at this year's rodeo art show. The top awards included Best of Show, Gold Medal, and Special Merit. The show had more than 600 entries from students grades K through 12. The work included paintings, drawings, ceramics, fibers, and mixed media. A reception was held in February for all student participants and their families at the Charles Bender Center for the Performing Arts. And in April, a selection of these pieces will be auctioned at the Humble ISD Education Foundation Gala. Please note, after each group is recognized, there will be an opportunity for photos. After all groups have been recognized, we will take one large group photo of all honorees. So parents, get your cameras ready. We will begin with the elementary art winners. When I call your name, please come to the front, right up here, and stay until all the elementary art students are called. We're going to begin with the Elementary Special Merit Award, which goes to Lakeshore Elementary second grader Cheyenne Wharton. Her piece is called Best Buddies. Her art teacher, Sandra May. Sandy, can you stand? Elementary gold medal is also from Lakeshore, elementary grade 4, Reese Clemens, for his piece titled Rodeo Roundup. Can you imagine how nervous these kids are? And elementary best of show from Elm Grove Elementary second grader Mason Marino for his piece entitled Happy Cactus, his teacher Kathy Ransdale. Okay, parents, if you want photos, now's the time. Look at these kids. Thank you, guys. Okay, for our middle school winners, we'll begin with special merit. Middle school special merit, Kingwood Middle School 8th grader Anise Arnston for her piece entitled Fuzzy Fluffs. I knew I was going to stumble on that. Her teacher, Leslie Fernandez. Middle school special merit, Atascocita Middle School 8th grader Ricardo Norris. His piece entitled Free Hugs. His teacher, Michelle Benhouse. Middle school special merit, Atascocita Middle School 6th grader Lauren Loth. for her piece entitled, "These Boots Are Made for Walking." Her teacher, Michelle Amos. Middle school gold medal, Wood Creek Middle School 8th grader Abigail Torres for her piece entitled "The Golden Cockadoodle-Doo." Her teacher, Lisa Bovani. Middle school gold merit 3D to Creekwood Middle School 8th grader Lainey Lassiter. Her piece is entitled "Get Along Little Doggy." Her teacher, Leslie Carr. Middle school best of show, Kingwood Middle School 8th grader Grace Blessing. Her piece entitled "Western Welcome." Her teacher, Leslie Fernandez. Middle school best of show, 3D, Kingwood Middle School, 8th grader Alicia Carpenter. Her piece entitled "Out on the Range." Her teacher, Leslie Fernandez. Okay, so now it's photo op time, parents. Our winners are high school special merit, Kingwood High School freshman Stacy Schwartz for her piece entitled "The Waco Kid." Her teacher, Melissa Fry. High school special merit from Atascocita High School, senior Jasmine Garcia. Her piece entitled "Farmer's Market." Her teacher, Stephanie Zachary Hollywood. High school gold medal, 2D, Kingwood High School junior Jaden Blackburn for her piece entitled "Lonely Meadow." Her teacher, Melissa Fry. Gold medal, high school 3D, Kingwood High School senior Rowan Gonda. Her piece entitled, now I don't pronounce the Indian name, just going to say "She Holds Ice." Rowan couldn't be with us because she's in Hawaii. Okay, high school best of show, 2D, Kingwood High School sophomore Chloe Sotomayor. Her teacher, Melissa Fry. High school best of show 3D, Kingwood Park High School junior Taylor Rankin for her piece called "Wooden Dreams." Her teacher, Natalie Hunt. Okay, photo op time, folks. We want to take just a minute to invite you to the 17th Annual Humble ISD Fine Arts Festival on Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 4. We are returning to the beautiful Lone Star College Kingwood campus after their big remodel, so yay! It's free, it's fun, and it features lots of art, lots of music, and lots of art making. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
And finally, super staffer recognitions do not occur in March because of spring break, but we look forward to recognizing
left his key.
staffers in April. And I just want to put a little plug in for Stacy's Art Festival. It is a wonderful place to take small children. There are tons of stuff to do with little kids, crafts and all kinds of really interesting things that they are thoroughly engaged with. So anyway, to have a chance to get out to Little Star that day, it's a great day, it's a great event. You can see Little Star campus, and if you have small children in your world, they'll be very happy to be along with you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Faye. Next, we'll have our comments, questions and comments by patrons or employees of the district regarding agenda items or any other items. The board encourages comments from citizens from the district and employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or a representative of a group, may do so following the procedures outlined in the agenda. In addition, the board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure at the lowest administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. First on our list, we will have Dr. and Mrs. Olawande. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You would come up to the podium here.
My name is Dr. Olawande. I'm with my wife today. And the purpose of me coming here, this is my second time of coming here today. When it comes to education for the students, the law should not be violated. When my son was in 6th grade, in Woodbridge Middle School, the teacher that taught him math was not qualified to teach him the math. That's the violation of the state law. So, I always go after my son walk. He's in 7th grade now in Westlake Middle School. Always teaching. Always, they call the school paperless. They don't even send any information. So I have to go to the school to request for this. So to be guiding my son home. Because we all know that math is the problem in the United States of American schools. So the reason I'm coming here today is they do a benchmark test, which will get them prepared for the STAR test. I always work advanced with my son. We need to go through the new release started. It's online. It's open to the public. So my son always practiced very well. So in the last test, my son finished on time. And before the test, he told his classmates, he said, go and read the benchmark. They always repeat the same thing. And they did, which is wrong. It's always good to have somebody that will be fired with the test. Rearrange it. Or to change the word. Or to change the number. He finished 1 minute's time. Unfortunately for me, the assistant principal for my son, Sheila, he started calling them one by one. I went to see the principal. I showed the principal just like this. This is all what I practice with it. I'm not a doctor. What I put here, I have to pass it on to my son. That's the bottom line of education. Whatever you put here, you pass it on. So, my son was different. The problem they have is not with my son, it's with me. Because I have to make sure they put it with my teacher. As long as I live on the public district, I will always fight for my only son, for everybody. For every student, we need to put a qualified teacher, principal, assistant principal in the classroom to help the children. It's not about putting my family or relative there to get paid to pay his bill. The student life is messing out in math. Look at your math star test last year for middle school. They are just barely passing by. They are not doing well. And if they have the parents to help them, it becomes a problem to the school. The student cannot ask questions. They cannot even send something home to help the parents to assist the student. What if I don't go to school? That's the question I want to ask you. Am I going to help? There's a lot of people that didn't go to school. They didn't have college education. Please, help me see. They need help. Maths, English, and science is the problem of the United States. 25 population is not enough. It's not only about my son alone. It's about all the kids. It's wrong for the assistant principal to call Sheila when the answer is published openly to everybody to see, to help their children to get prepared for the status. Everywhere, from here, please, they need help. Please, I want them to be better than me. I'm a doctor. I came here, I studied myself, I get my history degree, everything from here. I didn't school up. I school in the United States. You know, knowledge is give those children they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Olamide. Next signing up to speak, we'll have a Mr. David Aldridge, who is speaking here.
Second year. My name is David Aldridge. I'm here with my wife Wendy, my son Brandon. The best of speakers. I'll do what I can. It's amazing to see all the artists here tonight. I'm a graphic designer for 25 years, and it all started in high school, so that was a really cool treat to see. We're here tonight to bring notice to the fabulous and exemplary job being performed by Dr. Amy Wallace at Key Park High School. It's Dr. Wallace's cheerful demeanor, big smile, big heart, and desire to make our son's scholastic experience a good one, that finally won our son's trust and confidence. In order to emphasize the importance of Dr. Wallace's role in our son's educational experience and emotional health, it is important to reflect a bit on the difficulties he's had in the past. We are fortunate parents and that we have a son that loves school, loves to learn, pushes himself to do well. But our son has suffered both emotionally and academically because of conflicts with administrative staff and other students. He has witnessed staff speaking poorly of his mother as she tried to advance her pleas for support and make a difference in his school experience. Our son was afraid to tell administrative staff of mistreatment by teachers because he had suffered repercussions in the past from doing so. He was bullied violently for several months on the bus and verbally on campus. Although our son had stayed strong during these conflicts, the damage was done, and we as a family did not have much faith or trust in the school district. There was a couple shining stars and moments here and there, but the overall experience had been dismal, to say the least. Our son requires 504 accommodations, which in and of themselves require constant monitoring and revision to ensure proper care is given to our son's health and scholastic success. The meetings required for these accommodations became unbearable. Constant fights to make sure our son was given what he and his doctors believed he needed, sometimes taking as long as 3 hours. 3 main disappointments stand out, causing our distrust. Being told that allowing us to attend 504 meetings for our son was a courtesy. If we didn't sign the 504 accommodations for him, our son wouldn't have any. And being told that colleges did not accept accommodations. That happened at both middle school and at the early college high school he attended. By the time we transferred our son to K Park, his academic GPA and credits for both high school and college were damaged, and his dreams to attend a university right after high school graduation were diminished greatly. His 504 plan was a mess and was not providing accommodations needed to support his health and learning. We could not believe how easy it was to ignore federal law and legal documentation. We could not imagine what other students whose parents were not as attentive as we were experiencing. At this point, we thought it might be best to homeschool our son, but he wanted to give K Park a chance. His experience at Kingwood Park has not been flawless. There are challenges and hiccups everywhere. However, it is the actions preceding those challenges that can change the outcome of the situation. K Park makes every effort to change the outcome in a positive manner, rather than ignoring the issues. During an incident in classroom, our son was so comfortable with Dr. Wallace that he went directly to her. With complete faith, she would handle the situation. Another teacher in particular took the time to understand our son's needs directly. We call him the exception to the standard. Mr. Taylor provided priceless advice in our son's 504 meetings. His input was confidence building. It supplied advancement with consideration of our son's limitations. Dr. Wallace spoke directly with our son, back and forth, helping to determine what he needed, checking with us as his parents to ensure there was a process in place to accommodate him should the need arise, modifying wording to incorporate any shared concerns. We were in and out in 45 minutes. This meeting showed us the staff was listening and acting on our concerns. There was compassion, trust, respect, and care. And we heard those emotions. On a day-to-day basis, Dr. Wallace looks out for our son, stopping him in the hall to see how he's doing, checking to see that things are going smoothly. Dr. Wallace has also provided our son with a future plan for college, supporting him in preparation for his ACT and SAT testing. Every employee of K Park that we have had interaction with has showed us we can have confidence and trust that our son is a priority. Even the campus officer is extremely genuine. We are appreciative and will forever be grateful to Assistant Principal Dr. Wallace, Mr. Taylor, Police Officer William Joseph, and Princess Lisa Drennan. Our praise for their actions will not stop here. We have been moved to preach their praise to all levels of education and all parts of the governing sectors of the district. K Park as a whole, individuals such as Ms. Drennan, Dr. Wallace, Mr. Taylor, and Officer William Joseph should stand as an example to all schools in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Shouldn't be the exception, should be the rule.
All right. And thank you too, Wendy. Next, we'll go ahead and have our comments by individual board members. I'll start down on my right, your left, Mr. Carney.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I wanted to wish everybody happy spring break. Welcome back to school. March Madness is in full force for me as well, and CPA, so it's a crazy time for me. I enjoyed the video about reading across Humboldt. I think one of the students made a comment about coming back into the classroom and serving as kind of an idol or something that kids look up to, and I think that's one of the things I enjoyed most about the board service is just being able to kind of pay it forward. I know I was in that position not too long ago, and just being able to have a positive impact on kids' lives is really an awesome thing. So it's great to create that behavior early on. Rodeo art, always impressed by everything our students do. I think there's some second grade art up there that was, hands down, way above and beyond anything I could have done, so that's really cool. I just wanted to talk about a couple things more personal to myself as well. So my daughter Madison is in 5th grade at Willow Creek. She just recently did a project called Explore Vision. I wanted to highlight that, I think her teachers, Mr. Touchstone and Miss Weller, saw this at Power of Possibilities, I think last year at some point, and they thought it'd be a really good alternative to the science project that they had typically done in 5th grade, so they brought that back to Willow Creek, and they did it this year. And I can't tell you how much my daughter's been talking about this, how excited she is about science because of that whole project, and now she wants to be an astrophysicist, which we'll take that any other week. So it's a really cool project, and our students did really well as well. It's kind of a broader competition that our students participated in. And so we had about 10% of the submissions from Willow Creek, I think, actually made it through to a broader recognition at the regional level, which is really cool. I also wanted to say thank you to a member of our maintenance team as well, Mr. David Evans. So my wife is involved in the Education Foundation. She had an unfortunate run-in with a raccoon a few weeks back when she was going to a meeting. So she had been in a meeting, and the maintenance worker noticed that there was a raccoon that jumped inside the hood of her car while she was in this meeting. He basically waited for her to finish with the meeting and helped my wife and my 8-month-old son get in the car, make sure they weren't in any way impacted by this raccoon, and actually called animal control to help get the raccoon out. It doesn't stop there. So he waited there until animal control came, and then when animal control was trying to use some tongs or something to get the raccoon out of the car, he actually reached in with his bare hands and pulled the raccoon out by the tail. So he literally put life and limb on the line.
Sure did.
So kudos to you, Mr. David Evans. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. Mr. Lopez.
It's hard to follow that. I just want to welcome everybody back from the spring break. Hopefully the kids will jump right back into it. The seniors will. Just welcome back, and that's all the comments I have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Ms. Lamont Dixon.
I hope everyone had a restful spring break. First thing I'd like to comment on is reading is so important, so it's wonderful to learn about what Coach West and the rest of the team at Humboldt High School are doing with the student athletes, having them read across Humboldt. I just wanted to also say that Coach West is one of the role models that my son had at Humboldt High School, and so I really thank him for what he's doing and what he continues to do. Also, congratulations to all the swimmers who competed at district, regionals, and state last month, specifically in 5A, at state, Kingwood Park High School boys came in 5th overall, Kingwood Park High School girls came in 8th overall, and then 6A at state, Kingwood High School boys came in 3rd overall, and Kingwood High School girls came in 5th. So kudos to all of those kids. And lads, I just want to say, I have a child who receives 504 accommodations, and that child gets accommodations in college. So I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Aldridge for sharing his very personal 504 story, and also the support that he's receiving at Kingwood Park High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont Dixon. Ms. Conrad.
Mr. President, not much to add here. I did want to ask about the art. Is the art still on display after Washington?
No, not the rodeo. It's already down. But if you really like it, there's going to be some in the auction.
You saw me the days. Yeah, I just thought it was awesome. They were all there. You could see them at one time. I think I had a special event for parents and so forth to come and see them display. So I guess you'll have to go to the art festival and see that much art displayed at once. That was very good. Always amazed by the talent of our students. I only wanted to add about the Read Across America. Thanks, Rusty, and your team for bringing that to our attention. In one of the books I was reading just most recently, was talking about motivators. One of our biggest motivators for humans is having a sense of purpose. And so I just want to applaud that effort because you're not only giving younger students a glimpse of what their future could be, but you're also helping the high school students to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So we just appreciate those types of things that go above and beyond the learning and content in the classroom. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Conrad. Mr. Sid.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Again, I want to ditto welcome you back from spring break. We only have, 2 months left of this camp. This school year is going by quickly. Congratulations to all the rodeo art winners. And then I'll spend a minute on the athletic piece. When I ran for the board in 2011 for the very first time, I made a point as I was talking to people that athletes and those that are involved in fine arts and extracurricular activities historically perform better in the classroom because of that accountability piece, that teamwork piece. When you have role models like Coach West and his staff and the other staffs throughout the district, it really makes a big difference to those kids in their lives on a daily basis. For some kids, that's the only reason why they get up in the morning. When you think about food services and breakfast and lunch, for some kids, that's the only hot meals they get. And those folks don't get any accolades either. But Dr. Fagan, when she came on board, she said, Humble ISD has a tradition, has a history, has notoriety throughout the state. It's being a marquee school district. We want to be the best at everything we do. At everything we do. We want to be the best academically. We want to have the best facilities. We want to have the best fine arts. We want to have the best athletics, etc. And I think we're doing it. Basketball just finished up. 7 out of 10 teams made the playoffs. Summer Creek girls went to the state tournament and got beat in the state semifinals. I know Coach Crawford was here and he left. But Humble High School boys made the playoffs for the 26th year in a row. And this is moving up to 6A for the first time. And why that's a big deal, Summer Creek and Humble have 2 of the smallest populated 6A high schools in the state of Texas. And both boys and girls teams made the playoffs. And like I say, Summer Creek girls made it all the way to the state tournament. They're excelling in the classroom. They're role models to elementary kids. And you cannot put a price tag on it. And we're not going to continue to beat this dead horse about STAR exams and stuff that you cannot measure. You can't measure those things on one test, one singular test per year to tell if that student has been successful. You got a parent up here talking about struggles that their child had, their children. And by being put in the right position, the right situation, all students can be successful. And I think that's what we pride ourselves on at ISD, is putting every kid in a position where they can be successful. And every student's able to be involved, whether it's fine arts, whether it's athletics, whether it's a club, or organization on campus. And the more kids we can get involved, the more kids are going to have success in Humble ISD. I know that's a little bit of a soapbox, but that government, we do a good job. We do a good job at all levels with the whole kid, not just in one class or that class, but molding those kids to be good citizens in society, be productive in society. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Sid. Ms. Morrison.
And that one's a hard one to follow too, but I want to say I was fortunate enough to get to walk through on the art projects for the rodeo art. And I have never, ever seen so many pieces of beautifully well done work from kindergarten through high school. And I know many of those pieces, they'll all be sold at the auction, trust me. And there were quite a few that I wouldn't mind having in my ranch house, I'll be honest with you. But like Mr. Sitton said, Our kids are so involved, but they give back to their fellow students. And when you give back to your fellow students, they help them grow and help them think and succeed in their goals. You can't ask for anything else. You truly can't. And we are a very special district, and we are one of the best. For sure.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Dr. Fagan, any comments from the administration?
I wanted to beat that Star Horse a little more. I know Mr. Sitton said he wasn't going to beat the Star Horse, but if you've been paying attention at all to the media and the newspaper articles, et cetera, about the Star, as a superintendent, it is a challenging thing to see that my teachers work very hard every day to make sure all children are reading on grade level, and making sure that those children are set up for success when this one test, one day thing comes around, because we all know what failure feels like. And when you're 8, it feels a lot worse than that. And so our teachers, they do tutoring, and they do extra math, and they call parents, and they do all of these things. So for me to learn that we have a STAR test that is, for the most part, testing our children at 2 grade levels above their expected outcomes, I find that incredibly unfair. And as a parent of a 3rd grader and an 8th grader, I don't want my own children to experience failure that isn't really failure at all. Because the truth is, if my little 3rd grader shows up and does a good job on the STAR test and demonstrates reading at 3rd grade, 8th month, she will not meet on the STAR test, because that isn't the hidden expectation. The hidden behind the current expectation is that she reads at 4th grade, 4th month. And if she doesn't, she is not at meets, which in her world means that there's something wrong with her. At 8 years old, if you're not on grade level, then there's something wrong with you, and you're broken. You've got to fix this. And sometimes children carry that with them for a very long time. My 8th grader is expected to read not at 8th grade, but at 10th grade to get meets. And if she wants masters, well, that's 13.5 grade level in 8th grade. And I don't have any issue at all with accountability. I believe that all children should grow and learn and play and have fun and enjoy learning. And I believe that as educators, we want to demonstrate that they are doing all of those things, in reading and math and writing and science and social studies, all of it. But it's not fair to thousands of educators and hundreds of thousands of parents to say this is the bar, but it's not really. The bar is really up here. So if you've been preparing children for this, they're not going to be successful. And if you're watching any of the media coverage, it's very hard to understand all of this. But the bottom line is that we have said we want children to read on grade level in Texas. Okay, fair enough. But that's not what the STAR measures. The STAR measures if children read 2 grades above grade level. And if they don't do that, then they're approaches. And if your approaches, well, you get remediations and tutoring and interventions and all of these things that we all understand, children understand very well what that means. And so I feel like it's very important that we have the conversation and we encourage our state leaders, who are very much aware of the situation, to fix the STAR, to realign it to appropriate grade levels, to make it a fair assessment of the outcomes that we've all agreed are appropriate. And I think it's very unfair to say that our teachers are the ones that wrote the questions, because I've spoken with our teachers, and they definitely were not. And they don't want to be quoted as writing the questions. They've had issues with the questions for years, and it's fallen on deaf ears. So I'm going to beat that STAR horse just a little bit longer, because we're coming up on STAR testing season and A through F ratings and all of this stuff that turns out is not as it was explained. And it's completely unfair for a lot of our teachers and a lot of our students. We have a percentage of students who show meets on grade level when they take an I-Station, and those children don't meet on the STAR, and everybody was like, I don't understand that, what's going on? And it wasn't until there was some digging into the situation that we collectively have learned that the STAR is written 2 grade levels above, at least for most grade level children. And I could get into all the conspiracy theories of why that is, but the bottom line is this. In Humble ISD, we need to make sure we have the conversation and that we educate our community in plain language about what the deal is. We advocate at the state level for a change. Voices do matter in this session. Your voices are more powerful than mine. And the other thing is we have to do right by the 43,000 children that sit in front of us every day, because we have other assessments that show that they are on grade level. And we should celebrate that regardless of what a false STAR score says. Our obligation is to prepare each one of them for their life's journey, and to not do harm, and to not provide remediation or any of those things to children who don't need it. So if you haven't been involved in the conversation, if you haven't been watching the legislature, there's a lot of education stuff going on. There's $9 billion available for education in this session. I think this is my first time as a superintendent in 11 years that any state has said to me, we have extra money, right? It's always, we have no money, go away. So $9 billion. There's new finance bills that aren't very good for Humble ISD. When they run the numbers, they aren't very good for Humble ISD. They're not very good for Katy. They're not very good for Cy-Fair. And it's a very interesting system that they're contemplating. And I would just encourage everyone, even if you've never done it before, send one email, make one phone call, do one thing, be involved in the conversation, make your voice heard, let people know that you expect Humble ISD to be funded fairly and appropriately across the state, in accordance with all districts, and you expect the STAR test to be fair to our children and our teachers and our schools. And those are the things that I would really encourage people to do in the next, I'll give you a whole week. That's your assignment. I was a chemistry teacher. That's the way it goes. Extra credit if you make 2 emails. So, in any case, that's my soapbox for tonight, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you very much.
Dr. Fagan, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your leadership and your staff for their leadership, and really all our employees in the district. Thank you. Next, we'll move into our update, Board Association and committees. Audit Committee has no report. We'll move on to the Board and Superintendent Evaluation Committee. Mr. Lopez, Chair.
No report. We do have a team of 8 meetings.
Okay, thank you, sir. Building and Planning, the Chair, Ms. Martina Lamont Dixon.
You all received an email with the summary from our meeting. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the meeting summary. There's several pages. No questions. The only thing I wanted to add to that, I would like to welcome our new Executive Director of Construction, Stephen Hadley, to the team. Thank you so much for doing it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Lamont Dixon, thank you. Next is our Finance Committee Chair, Mr. Robert Sidney.
Yes, Mr. President. We've got budget meetings coming up. I believe it's April 3rd. I think that's right. My schedule. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight. Is it next week? Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's next week. I was thinking it was the week after that. My bad. All right. So we have that budget meeting coming up. That work, and then I want to add some things to what Dr. Fagan was saying about some of the finance bills. Had the opportunity to be in Austin, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, I guess, visiting with Representative Huberty, Senator Creighton, and several others. Among other things with Commissioner Morath, dealing with the STAR exam, and FEMA, trying to get our money still. But there are several finance bills out there. And this is what's amazing. There is $9 billion available for public education. How they spend that is up to anyone's guess at this point. There's multiple bills out there. We've had our own folks run the numbers. We've had external people run the numbers. got some school districts out there that are projected to have an increase in their state revenue upwards of 21 and 26%. 21 to 26% increase. We're not talking about Podunk USA. We're talking about Austin ISD, Brazos Port, people like that. And then you have an ISD, Katy, Fort Bend. They have a lot of households. Their taxpayers are shouldering the burden of funding public education for their community. And we're getting increases of 0.5, 1.5. Is that really fair and equitable? Think about that for a minute. So they're talking about doing away with the Robin Hood, the recapture, and then distributing that money back to those property-rich districts. And then taking the balance and moving it out to the more poverty-stricken areas. We all can agree that we need to add money to free and reduced lunch programs. We can all say, agree that special needs needs money added to it, and so forth. I think everybody in the state would agree to that. But to take money away from high-performing school districts that their taxpayers are shouldering the burden of funding education and distributing that other places is not right. It's not fair. And get on the phone, call, educate yourself, read the news. You know, they're talking about a $5,000 raise for teachers. That's on one bill, not on the other. By the way, on that one bill, teachers are promised a $5,000 raise infinitely. But in the bill, it's only funded for 2 years. It's not guaranteed in the future. My question was, is this going to be another unfunded mandate that the state legislature is going to put on the local school boards? Because once you give that raise, teachers are going to expect that every single year, and if you're not going to fund it, by God, we've got to fund it. We already give our teachers a raise every year. More than most. More than most. When people were cutting back, we were still paying our teachers and giving them raises. Not just the entry level, straight up the ladder. Mr. Gardner and his team, they do reviews on an annual basis to see where we need to be financially with our teachers, with our staff, and do we need to adjust based on the marketplace. That's what a good school district does. That's what proper governance and proper management does. It's not my fault that we have school districts out there that don't know how to manage their damn budget. And for the state of Texas to divert money from a school district like Humble ISD that is being successful with what they have, that gets less money than New Caney, less money than Sheldon, less money than Albany, less money than Spring, and we're asked to do more with less in a fast-growth school district, I think we do a pretty good job. But I think we should get our fair share. So please get involved. This is always the tough time when we start the budget process during a biennium, because we don't know. Mike Sill and his staff, they're trying to put together a budget with what we think we're going to get. And when that budget is passed in June, we're hoping we still get what we think we're going to get. And up to this point, our finance department's done a pretty good job of measuring that based on what they're hearing, what they're feeling, based on talks with other CFOs, with the way the legislature is going. And they've done a pretty good job of projecting that. And so what we're hearing right now from our finance department is, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Now, I have spoken with Representative Hewitt, and he promises us that we're going to be okay. Just relax. Relax. We're going to be okay. And I trust him. He's done a great job. He has done a fabulous job as our state representative. And he's chair of the House Ed Committee. We probably wouldn't be at this point right now in finance reform if it wasn't for him. But as taxpayers of Humble ISD, you need to reach out, let them know your concern. Ask them to go back and look at those numbers. Because there's going to be many, many iterations back and forth before this thing's finally passed. And if we're going to get some money, and there's $9 billion out there, we may never have this opportunity again. It may never happen again. I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but that does fall under finance. And so I'll kick it back to you and thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you, Mr. Sid. And continuing on, we will go ahead with Ms. Morrison, Chair of our Advocacy Committee.
Okay, well, I'll start out by the Advocacy Committee will be meeting on March 25th. Our focus will be the safety training that Humble ISD conducted at Atascocita High School on Monday, January 7th. That day was a teacher work day and a student holiday. Humble ISD police simulated an active shooter incident at AHS on that day. Our committee will be discussing the training and next steps as we continue to proactively work in partnership with local law enforcement and community leaders in support of students. And along with that, with advocacy, we tend to work with legislation too. And I'm going to get a little bit on a soapbox of legislation that both my members beside me, Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Sitton, were there. And I too heard the same thing they heard, that number one, they tend not to listen as hard from us, especially on the STAR. There were some hard questions asked and they avoided it. I'll be perfectly honest with you, okay? And again, I heard the same thing that they heard in the sense of, okay, they want to give the $5,000 to the teachers in one bill, they want to give money in another bill, but now the bills are not necessarily as good as they were professed to be. But the people they do listen to, in which we have talked to you many, many times, and we will continue to talk to you, just as Dr. Fayette said, just as Mr. Sitton said, just as Mr. Cunningham has said, and all of us have said, it is very important that you contact your legislature. It is very important. And now, when they're sitting there with a pot of $9 billion, and we would get such a tiny, minimal piece, and we have a growing, we are still growing. We have some 43,000 students, and we will grow. It is not fair to our taxpayers to bear that burden. So please, I can only follow up with the two of these gentlemen. You need to contact your legislatures. Please do that. And again, like Mr. Sitton said, now, not 2 weeks from now, now. So, I'll get off mine.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. We'll move right over to the Education Foundation, Mr. Carney.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've got our Education Foundation Gala coming up Friday, April 12th. So the event has sold out in the past. There are still tickets available right now, so you can go to www.humbleisdfoundation.org to get your tickets. This gala is carrying on the 100-year tradition. So basically, we had the event recently where we looked back in time, and now we're transitioning into looking towards the future. So the theme is "The Future's So Bright." So all your neon, glow-in-the-dark clothes that you can keep in the closet, just for your weekend parties or whatever. Just break them out for the event. It'll be a fun time. Get your sunglasses ready. Keep in mind that the event benefits Humble ISD teachers through innovative education grants. There's been $1 million worth of grants that have been submitted recently. So we have a pretty small fundraising ask. So we appreciate everybody's support coming out, having a good time, and raising money for a good cause. If you can't go to the event, keep in mind that you can always go online and you can bid on silent auction items. And the team is working hard at the moment, getting lots of great items up there for auction, so check that out as well. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the co-chairs of the event who are working really, really hard behind the scenes. Kristen Ressler and then my wife Jennifer Carney as well. They've been working really hard, filming some really cool videos. I don't know if you guys have checked those out. But it's all for a good cause. So please come out and support the event April 12th. The Education Foundation Gala.
Thank you, Mr. Carney.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I've heard they were going to have a fabulous MC this year too. Maybe the same one they've had for the last few years.
Jay.
Hey, just saying.
But they're not gonna have the same guy that does the auction.
I don't know about that. The MC is fantastic. He is awesome.
Is he gonna be in a band
There's no telling what he'll be wearing.
Well, Mr. Carney didn't share. I don't know. Okay.
Just come and find out.
Okay, good. That's good. All right, moving right along. Kingwood Neighborhood Super Neighborhood Council, Ms. Vaughn Dixon.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Mr. Carney. I was at Leadership Tasby at the last meeting, so he went in my stead.
All right, volley back.
Yeah, so the Kingwood Super Neighborhood Council meeting was really heavily focused on the construction projects that are going to be going on here in Kingwood here pretty soon over the next few months. So there's a lot of talk about Loop 494. There's an expansion project going on there. Basically, a lot of the way that the road kind of drifts off into the parking lots for a lot of the businesses off on 494 is going to be kind of restructured and more formalized, and be some curbs put in there. So I think that's going to be coming up here in a few months. There's going to be a lot of work going on with the intersection of Kingwood Drive and 494 as well. So just make sure you're aware when that's going on. It could be kind of a traffic nightmare. And then as well, there's the North Park Drive expansion too, which was a little bit contentious in that it was kind of deprioritized for some of the Houston projects going on. So there was a big push at the time of the Super Neighborhood Council meeting to get the advocacy going for people to go out and contact people in charge of those projects that we had more towards the top of the list. So hopefully that happened, but it's going to occur sooner rather than later. That's it.
All right, Ms. Carney, thank you for filling in for Ms. Lamont Dixon. So good report. Okay, next we'll move into our action items from closed session. Ms. Lamont Dixon, I ask you would assist me, please.
I move that the board approve the administration's recommendations of student expulsions as presented in closed session.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, right hand. Opposed, the same. Got it, Karen? Okay, good. Motion carries. Okay, Dixon, go ahead.
I move that the board approve the administration's personnel recommendations as presented in closed session with addendum.
Okay, first and second. All in favor? Opposed, the same. Okay. Moving on into our consent agenda. As I stated before, we get this information ahead of time, and so we're able to ask questions of the superintendent and administration. So long discussions are not necessarily needed. I would ask Mr. Von Dixon, if you will, work with me on this one also. Consent agenda 5A, the approval of minutes from the regular board meeting. That is a consent. B, approval of minutes from the special board meeting. That is a consent. C, good professional services and non-construction services exceeding $50,000 in the aggregate or 25,000 individually. Consent. Item D, 2018-2019 construction and construction-related purchases. That's a consent. E, budget transfers and amendments. Consent. F, bond fund transfer and amendments. That's a consent. G, tax refunds. Consent. H, waivers of P&I. Consent. I, consideration of architect selection for Atascocita High School's third gym, including weight room and locker room expansion and the 10 classroom addition. We have a consent. J, consideration of architect selection for Humboldt High School library, cafeteria, competition gym, and sped renovation. Consent. K, Consideration of architect selection for high school athletic improvements. That's a consent. L, consideration of architect selection for Summer Creek High School third gym, including weight room and locker room expansion. Consent. M, change order number 1, Westlake Middle School construction. We're gonna pull that. Okay, and change order number 1, Turner Stadium softball and baseball renovation. Consent. O, board authorization for interlocal agreement with the general land offices for purchase of natural gas. Okay, we're good on that, that's consent. 5P, City of Humble joint election agreement. That's a consent. Q, instructional materials for proclamation 2019. Consent. R is going to be the RFP 2019-022 data center services. Consent. S, TASB Superintendent of the Year resolution. Consent. Dixon, if you will. Keith, you need to read back the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the following items by consent. 5A through 5L and 5N through 5S.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor, right hand. All opposed by the same. Motion carries. Now we'll go back to item 5M, Westlake Middle School. So move, may I have a second? All right, it's been second. Yeah, I just had a couple of questions, and let's see, there you are, Mr. Ferrera. Tell me a little bit about this Westlake Middle School, because I'm reading this here, so I just want to make sure I'm reading it right here. One, where's the money coming from for this change order? And I guess 2 would be the type of change. Was this drawings not right? Was this owner change? Or
these were owner changes. If you take a look at the documents that are in there, we did a stairwell valve covers. We did not want students to be able to manipulate the risers. They have little wheels to turn them off and on, so we wanted to cover those. That was an owner expense. Rubber base throughout the building. We didn't like the finish, and we didn't, as you clean the building, it's going to get in the cracks and cause an unsightly, dirty mess. And so we wanted to put the base coating. That's at owner's request. We moved some J boxes, which are the electrical outlets. That also was at owner's request. Now, that was caused because we put in share wall in rooms after the designs were done. And so we didn't take into account that the J boxes would interfere when we put in that right component. So that is at owner's expense. We did some sports field netting. We felt that that a discus could be thrown into Insperity complex, which we're very concerned about, being kids that may not be able to get out of the way in time or not see us coming, and so we wanted to make sure we took care of that as well. And then the lobby stairwell, we did not like the finish. We got a credit for that finish, but we went to an epoxy base that looks very nice, but was more expensive than what we had planned to put in the building to begin with. And those are the changes, all at owner's request.
All right, the first question where the money came from, I just want to make sure, because when I read it earlier in the week, and I apologize for not being able to get with everybody, but I saw that we were taking money from middle school number 9.
No.
Was this actually 9, or how was that? That's what I'm
This is
asking.
9, and basically the way we're covering this cost is there were some charges charged middle school 9 that were actually upgrades at Insperity. And so we have recovered that money from board building and planning meeting to have the board approve that, to bring it back out of the Insperity budget and put back in middle school 9 to pay for these changes.
So the money came from the Miracle League?
It did, but it was really middle school 9 money, because middle school 9 money was used to do some work at Sperry.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm good on that. Since I was only going to pull, I guess there's no other questions. Seeing none. Got one, Mr. Sid.
Just one quick comment, because if you can see the next line, and I do appreciate your questions, where the money's coming from and what those changes were. The next line, the project remains within the budget, and it's just a reallocation of money. So I just wanted to verify that you saw that. But it was money that was categorized, if you will, to the Airplane project that was recharacterized back to the campus.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Sid. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, then all in favor? Opposed by the same, that motion carries. And thank you, Mr. Carrera. Yes, sir. For being out there. Back down information items here. Got a few slides down the bottom. Okay, so skip A and go to B now. Okay, we're gonna look. A is just information. We do have some presentation on the current bond. Mr. Carrera?
Yes, sir.
So if I could, I would just like to introduce Mr. Correa and his team, which he will introduce. We're here to just give a very short, concise update on bond projects because we want to make sure everyone knows which bond projects are underway and what stage they're in. The work that you have to do on the front end of these major projects is all really behind the scenes. And so I feel like people are kind of looking around going, okay, you know, where is this stuff? You know, where's the bulldozer? And so we wanted to just provide a high-level overview of the projects that are actually underway and what stage they're in and when we expect them to complete. But it's construction, so we make no promises right now. We're kidding. Okay, Mr. Correa, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fagan. That's the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Board of Trustees, President Cunningham, thank you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in the construction and making sure that we're keeping your promise and having passed the bond referendum for $575 million and making sure that we build quality facilities for our district, for our kids, and for our community and our teachers to teach in. In putting that program together, we need quality people in which to do it. So we started to build our own team. We've hired an executive director of construction. You've met him earlier, but I'm going to have him stand again. That is Mr. Stephen Hadley. He has a bachelor's degree in construction management from the University of Houston. Welcome, Stephen. Also with us is Janine Hawkins, project manager, bachelor's degree of construction science from Texas A&M. Please stand, Janine. She's working towards her RA, which is a registered architect certification. So we're happy to have her on the team as well. Jeremy Cloffis is also a project manager, bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Lamar University, just joining us, and we're happy to have you, Jeremy. We also have Christy Purdy. She's our bond accountant, has a master's degree in accounting from Sam Houston University. Welcome, Christy. Also, I think I don't know if I see him here tonight, is Kenny Kendrick. Although he's not anymore part of the construction team, is a valued member because we want to make sure that he's involved the whole way, that we build exactly what he wants and the equipment that's in it, because he's got to maintain it. He and his team's got to take care of that. So he is a very important part. So thank you, Kenny. And then last but not least, my administrative assistant is Ruby Escalante, and she's also serving as the administrative assistant for the construction program. And then also we have a program management firm working with us, CBRE Heary. We have Lexi Struesco. Did I get it right, Lexi? Close? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. From CBRE Heary and Gary Whittle. Thank you guys for being here this evening. So that's part of our team to make sure and ensure that we get these projects right, we get them on time, and most importantly, we get them on budget, and hopefully under budget, some of them. We're going to work very hard on that. As we go through, again, thank you very much for approving the $575 million bond program. It's going to ensure that we get to build safe and up-to-date facilities for our kids across the district.
You overwhelmingly approved it, and we appreciate your support and your willingness to give us that kind of money to make sure that we're upgrading and maintaining facilities across the district. In July the 24th, we sold $125 million of the bond program to start major projects and projects in our district. Some of them got started really quickly. In prioritizing those projects, we wanted to make sure that we did not sell more than what we could build. We did want to make sure that we did not sell bonds that would increase the tax rate. We promised that we would not do that. We wanted to make sure that we could do projects that would not impede on instruction and in any way cause problems at our campuses. We wanted to make sure that we took care of critical needs. What was the most important to get done as quickly as we possibly could? The volume and complexity of projects that we had to get done. We also wanted to make sure that we had economy of scale. We wanted to make sure that if we could bundle any projects together in order to save money and get them done as quickly as we possibly could, to do so as well. Over the last 10 months, we've been working very diligently to put these projects together, and although some are going, it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we get things done. For example, hiring the team that we've been doing over the last 10 months. We've been buying property to make sure that we can build some of these projects on different sites. We have increased our architecture pool. We had 4 in the 2008 bond. We've increased to 11. So we have 11 architects that are available. We've also started many of our projects during that time, so I'd like to share some of those with you. First, obviously, is safety. We wanted to make sure we took care of safety across our campuses. We finished 13 security vestibules, which make sure that all of our campuses in Humboldt ISD have vestibules. We wanted to make sure that we increase the quantity and quality of our camera systems across our campuses. We are updating alarm systems on our campuses. We're doing other safety measures that we won't share tonight because obviously we don't want everyone to know what we're doing to make sure our campuses are hardened and safe. And we have many technology upgrades that have been happening. The other thing we started to work on is our high school fields. When we started the rebuild of Kingwood High School, one of the things we wanted to address right away was the football field there. Obviously, we needed to do some work. So since we were going to go ahead and do it, and it was a turf field, we bundled the other turf fields as well and got them all done. They actually were completed before the football season at the beginning of this year, and were used all across the district. In doing that bundling, we actually saved $500,000. I also want to point out that these fields were not just for football. As a building principal, I can tell you we have many groups that practice all over the campuses. This field, being a turf field, gives those many groups an opportunity to get on that field and rehearse. And that is a wonderful thing, so thank you. We also looked at installing and renovating the baseball and softball fields. We have completed the turf, but we're completing the renovations. They're getting new concession stands, new bleachers, new bathrooms, things of that nature out there so that we have quality facilities. The other thing we also did is, again, I want to thank you for putting a turf field at these locations, because now when our teams qualify for regional or state playoffs, we don't have to rent a facility somewhere else or ask a neighboring district to host us, so that our teams can either play or practice. They can go to Turner Stadium and continue to prepare for those games. The other thing we did is we've completed $15 million in Priority 1 and Priority 2 projects. You did approve money in those areas. The updates to existing schools include HVAC systems, chillers all across the district, energy control systems, roofing projects, carpet projects, and paint. And you wouldn't think those two are very important, but people really want carpet and paint all over the district. So it's very important that we get those projects done. We've also started with our support buildings. We're starting with and you'll see it as we're coming through the slides, we're getting ready to build the Northern Transportation Center and the Northern Ag Barn, and you'll get to see pictures of those and how they flooded, especially the Ag Barn that's currently serving Kingwood Park area. We're doing elementary school upgrades that you'll see tonight, also middle school and high school projects. Let's start off with Kingwood Ag Barn. As you can see here, the architect was selected. That'll be Stantec. It's currently in the design phase. As soon as it's complete, we'll go to a competitive bid. That project will start in 2019, and the targeted completion date will be 2020. Here you get to see a sort of a map, and you get to see one picture where you actually get to see how high the flood waters were. They came almost all the way up to the rafters. You get to see a rendition of what we think the southern ag barn, or northern ag barn, excuse me, is going to look like. And then you get to see the location of the property up in Mills Branch and the corner of Ford Road. And then you get to see an elevation of the new proposal of that site. Please also know, although it's not in here, we don't have a picture of it, we are going to do upgrades at the southern ag barn as well. That includes restrooms, indoor arena, or an arena, and bathrooms as well. So, the next one is the Northern Transportation Center. The architect is IBI Group. We're currently under the design phase. We will complete that work and go out for the competitive bid. That will start in 2019, and the targeted opening is 2020. The other thing I want to make sure that I address, if you look up here, one of the things we also implemented is we implemented 2 project managers. So on this one you see Mr. Jerry Bird, who is our Director of Transportation. He sits in every meeting to make sure that we get his expertise on what a transportation should look like and need. And so we do that both on the educational side and on these projects. We always have to, so we get the expertise of who the end user is going to be of that facility. Then we have the project manager who is going to run the project and make sure that we're just moving through and getting things done on time and appropriately. So that's a nice little piece that we've added to this. Here you get to see the Northern Transportation Center. On the left-hand side, you get to see the location, which is further up Ford Road. It's on the same road as the ag barn. And then you get to see a sort of site plan of what it's proposed to look like. The next one is Elementary 29. Elementary 29 is actually not a 2018 bond project. It's our last project in 2008 bond. So this will be our last project of the 2008 bond. It is a Joyner as the architect. You see the project managers. It's in the design phase and actually went to bid. So we're waiting for the bids to come in. As soon as that is complete, we will start and accept it and bring it to the board, and they approve those bids. We look to start that project in 2019 and complete that by 2020, August of 2020. And you do get to see a sort of rendition of what we're looking at for that footprint. We have presented that before. It's really a state-of-the-art building that will provide great learning opportunities and teaching opportunities for our students and staff. Here you get to see a sort of rendition again, and you get to see the location. It is proposed to be built in the Lakewood Pines areas where we have our property, 25 acres there, 20 acres that we'll be building Elementary 29 on. The other thing we're going to do is build our first phase of multi-purpose rooms. We will be building 22 multi-purpose rooms over 4 phases, or 4 groups if you will. The first group is 6 elementaries and the CLC, which is actually a gym, not a multi-purpose room, but it's in this grouping. It's currently in the design phase. The architect is GPD. They will complete the design work. We'll go to competitive bid. We look to start that in 2020, if not sooner, and complete those first 7 in 2021. Here you get to see the locations of those 6 elementaries and the CLC and where they are. The reason for this grouping is because they have sort of the same footprint. The multi-purpose rooms will actually look quite similar and hopefully be attached to the building in the same locations. We'll see how that works out. All of these are proposed sites that we're going to be looking at you tonight, or showing you tonight, excuse me, because really we need to work with the end user to truly see if the feasibility study actually got them in the right location, and will that location still work at this current time. The next one is the Community Learning Center, and here's where I was telling you in the feasibility study, you can see that that was the possible location when this was presented. We'll have to work with the principal and the user group to make sure that is still a viable site for that location for this gym addition. Then we have the rebuild of Lakeland Elementary School. In fact, we had interviews today of 3 possible architects for that. Hopefully we'll be bringing that to you and pick that architect. They will start the design work right after we get that approval, put out the competitive bid. We hope to start it in 2020 and complete that project by 2022. I will say that this is a challenging project. It is also a phased project, which basically means we build it in anywhere between 2 and 3 phases, which means we actually tear down part of the current existing school, build the new one, house kids somewhere else, and then move them into the new piece while we start tearing down the rest of the building, and all at the same time try and hold school. So this is a complicated one. It sits on only 10 acres of property, which currently we look to purchase between 20 and 25 acres for our current elementary schools. But I tell you all of that because we are looking at possibly land near this location where we could possibly do a new build and not necessarily build on the current location. So we are researching that, and we'll see where we go with that. If not, we'll build it on the site. We do have plans for that. What I will report is I was very pleased the way we went through this design, and I'm showing you just a few of them here. We invited all 11 of our brand new architects to present and give us a 10,000-foot view of what they would propose at Lakeland as a new build and a phase build. Every single one of them, all 11 architects, presented and submitted a design for this. We narrowed that down. We will go through, and here are some of those designs where you get to see some of the elevations. We looked at all of them. We looked at their site plans. We looked at their timelines. We looked at everything, narrowed that down, and then as I said, we're going through the interviews to select or present a firm for this rebuild. The next one is the rebuild of Kingwood Middle School. We're going through the interview process with that too. We think we have someone we'd like to present, but we need to work through that. We will select that architect, present it, go through the design work, look to start that. This also will be a phase build. However, this property is a little bit bigger, in fact, significantly bigger than the Lakeland build, and actually we can build this one, we think, in one phase without disrupting the current building at the location. So we're hoping that that will go through and we can get that done. If so, we could build this building and start it in 2020 and complete it by 2022 at the current location. Here is a sort of a design feature of that. You can see the existing building there and then the proposed new one. This is just one proposal. This was in the facility study. It actually doesn't look like any of the 11 that were submitted. Then we'll be looking at middle school 10. We're working through the architect on that as we speak. We'd like to present that one as well. Once that is selected, we'll go through the design phase, competitive bid. Hope to start that in 2020 and complete it by 2022. It will be by Ridge Creek Elementary on Woodland Hills. They actually share a piece of property there, and so we'll build that on that site. The next one, we're starting projects, and hopefully we'll get these this summer. We're working to select the general contract, but the proposal is to start these now in 2019 and complete them this summer. The wonderful wood floor that you see there is at Westlake Middle School. All of them would like to have that. Ross Sterling has a wood floor. We're going to refinish that and make it very nice, and then we will replace all of our current middle school gym floors with wood. And that should all happen this summer. We're going to start the project for AHS additional classrooms, 10 to 12 classrooms, and the gym. It was approved tonight to have PDK as the architect for this. We look to start it in 2019, finish the targeted opening in 2021. We will start the design either later this week or first of next week. I can't exactly remember those dates. It's already been, we'll start it and get it done and then send it out for competitive bid. So we look to get that project underway as well. Here is again in the facility study, you see the location of the third gym and you see the additional classroom addition. Once again, we'll have to work with the end users to make sure those are still viable locations, but those are proposed at this time. We're also going to start the work at Humboldt High School, the library, cafeteria, and a competition gym. Humboldt High School is really, in terms of our current competition gyms, you really have to say Humboldt High School does not have a competition gym, and we're going to make sure that we build them one. And so we'll look at this as well. Stantec was approved tonight on this project, so we will meet with them here in the next week or two to start the design phase of this work, put it out for competitive bid. We'd look to try and start this project by 2020 and complete it in 2022. And the reason this is another one that is a remodel that we'll have to work around while kids are in school. You can see where the new cafeteria expansion will be. Kitchen updates, that location where you see kitchen updates is currently where the library is on the second floor. We look to move that location and expand the ceiling in that area and expand the cafeteria. We have the location for the competition gym. Again, these are just proposed. We really have to work with the end users to make sure all of these locations still work. There have been some changes since this facility study started when we started it. Summer Creek High School will get its third gym. We'll take a look at it. PBK will work on that project. We look to start it now in 2019, finish in 2020. We'll start the design work here in the next week or two and get it out for competitive bid so we can get that project going. Here, once again, you take a look at the possible location for that gym so we can get this project. And then Kingwood High School third gym. That project will actually not start till 2020. We will go and start moving the selection project proposals for architect selection so that we get them in place and so that we can start on this project, but it won't start till 2020 and then finish in 2021. And this is the location for their third gym at KHS. K Park High School is once again the same. It won't start till the first quarter of 2020, complete in 2021, and we'll start the selection process here shortly. And that is the possible location for that third gym. And that completes my report. However, we do have a fabulous bond website that we'd like to talk to you about, so at this time I'll call up Miss Jamie Mount.
So we created a bond website that you can go to right now at humbleisd.net/bond2018. And in order to find the information that you want, there's a list of current projects. And if you click on the current project, then that takes you to a site that provides all the detailed information, including photos, videos, updates, and timelines. You can also click on completed projects, and it'll take you to the same type of information. Obviously, as projects are started and completed, this website will continue to grow exponentially, evolve, and change. I can say we're especially excited about our goal of creating for major projects time-lapse videos that will tell the construction story in a compelling way as we celebrate our students gaining these wonderful new facilities. So please check it out.
And I think that completes our presentation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mount and Dr. Ferrer. Any questions? Okay. Moving right along with the last information item number C, I believe is financial service report. Any questions? Our chair, Mr. Sidman, of course, Dr. Fagan and Mr. Seal. Consideration of future topics, board business. Seeing none. Once, twice, thrice. We're adjourned.